everyone, welcome back to Knits by Lizzie. I am a vegan knitter from the US, and today I would like to share a regular knitting podcast episode with you and give you all just a little update on what I have been knitting lately. I last did a standard knitting podcast about a month ago, so I do have a few finished objects and just one WIP right now, just one really new cast on. I have a feeling that there's going to be some more new cast-ons really soon because I only have one right now. So I'm just going to jump right into it and share with you guys my finished objects first. So please grab your own knitting project and a warm cozy drink and hang out with us as we chat about some knitting. First up for my finished objects is the Erik sweater, and this was almost a finished object in my last episode, so I'm not going to touch on it a ton, but really quickly, this is a saddle shoulder construction. This is a free pattern by Filcolana, and it is a men's pattern, so it is designed to have, a more masculine fit. And I knit this for my partner, and he has already worn it, I think, more often than any of the other sweaters that I've ever knit him. So I really highly recommend this sweater. The yarn that I use for the sweater is my favorite combination that I've used quite a bit now, which is a fingering weight yarn of Cascade Yarn's Cherub Sock, which is a 50-50 acrylic nylon blend. And then I held it with Lammy Yarn Soft Sensations, which is a vegan mohair that's made out of polyester. And so those together make up a DK weight yarn, DK weight gauge, but because it's fingering plus lace weight, you get a really sort of like light garment that is really soft and nice and I don't know, just like cozy and warm. And this pattern is just like a really nice basic, which I think is why he's been able to wear it so much, like get so much use out of it. It's just like really easy to throw on, and it feels really nice. So I really recommend this pattern in terms of wearability for sure. It fits him pretty well. The only thing is that there is, even with this, there's this like panel in the back. Let's see, maybe you can tell. So there's where the panel is, and then there's the rest of the back there. So you actually start with this panel. So that back panel is supposed to raise the back neck, like kind of in place of short rows. But even with this back panel, the back is raised up more than the front, so it's not even around his body once he puts it on. And so I think that he actually needed more, like a larger panel back here, or like more short rows basically. So I don't know if he has like particularly broad shoulders or something compared to like the average men's pattern. And so in the future, I'm definitely going to be adding more short rows to whatever sweater I knit him. But it also might just be this pattern needed like a larger bit of fabric there to raise the back of the neck. So that is my one small comment with this pattern, which is that if I was gonna knit it again, I would make this this back panel larger. And the way that you make it is that you cast on a certain number of stitches, and then you knit one direction, and then you pick up where you cast on and knit the other direction. And so if I were to make this pattern again, I would just cast on more stitches. I think it was like 8 stitches or something. It was not that many. And I think if I did it again, I would cast on like 12. And like I said, this is a free pattern. So if you would like to check it out, I'll have this all linked in the description so you can make it as well. But besides that, all the other parts of the fit are really good. I think the ease worked out really well. The saddle shoulders fit him really well, and the construction was something that I hadn't done before. So the yoke part of the sweater was really interesting. And I would just say like this is sort of like an all-around pretty good basic sweater that if you need to make a basic pattern for a masculine person in your life, I definitely recommend this pattern. So I would give it this like 7.5 out of 10, I would say. My second finished object that I am going to go over today is my Lakes Pullover by Ozetta. And this was just a gauge swatch in my last podcast episodes, this definitely has gotten the majority of my knitting time. And you can see I've knit it in this really bright red color, which was so fun. And I knit this as part of the cal that I'm hosting, the Pop of Red for Winter cal, where the theme is just to knit anything in red. And so this cal is actually still going on. It's going to go through the beginning of spring. Yeah, the beginning of spring. So it goes all the way till March 21st. So if you would like to join the cal, whips are totally welcome. So you could join it at any moment. All you have to do is use the hashtag #PopOfRed on Instagram, and if you'd like to join our group chat, you can reach out to me on Instagram at knitstopby.lizzie, and you can enter, and I will be giving away one prize for this cal, which is going to be one skein of hand-dyed sock yarn, vegan sock yarn from Terrapin Fiberworks in the color Golden Gate, because it's red, and so it fits with the theme. So there is one prize, and if you would like to enter for your chance to win that, you can head over to Instagram and join the cal if you want to make something in red. There's really no rules other than that. And it's been a lot of fun, and it was a nice inspiration to make this really fun red sweater. So about the sweater, this is a pretty popular pattern. I'm assuming most people have heard of it. This is a saddle shoulder construction. It's got a pretty large gauge. I think like 16 stitches, maybe 17 stitches, like definitely like a worsted weight gauge. And so because of that fairly large gauge, I actually held a DK weight with a lace weight. So the DK weight yarn that I held was Cascade yarn Sarasota in the color, I believe, chili pepper, a bright red color. And that is I think 50-50 cotton and acrylic blend, which I have really been liking that yarn lately. My new cast on is actually with that yarn as well. And I held it with Lammy yarn Soft Sensations, which is that lace weight acrylic vegan mohair, to make about a worsted weight gauge. And you probably can tell, yeah, I think you can, that the color match of the mohair and the main color were not 100% perfect, but it gives it kind of a nice dimension. And the core of that red color mohair is actually black, like the strand that all the fluff is wrapped around was not red, it was black. And so when I first started, I was a little worried that you would like be able to see black in the sweater instead of red, and I was trying to make a red sweater, but even though the strand, maybe we'll hold up the body again, even though the mohair is wrapped around a black strand, like you can see a darker red in there, but I don't think it reads as like there's just like a random black strand going through. So I was really happy about that. So holding it with another red, totally no problem at all. And I actually used that same color mohair to make red baubles in my holly sweater. So the berries in my holly sweater that I made for Christmas several years ago, I used that red, and also like didn't have any issues there with the black core changing the color. So that worked out totally fine. The best thing about this sweater is probably the fit. So this is like a perfectly oversized sweater, I would say, really easy to throw on. It is a saddle shoulder construction, so you've got these really big wide saddle shoulders, and then there's a bunch of shaping to raise the back neck and to shape those shoulders. And even when you start the sleeves, there's some short rows to kind of like shape the sleeve cap or like the shoulder cap for the sleeves. So the fit of this sweater is crazy. It is so good, and I think that probably is part of why this is so popular. And then also this large gauge, it actually really went by very quickly. I knit this in around 4 weeks, I think. But in that time, I was writing my PhD dissertation, so I didn't have a ton of time to be knitting. I have now turned that in, which is why you've seen more videos from me lately. So I really wasn't knitting a ton. I would say I have been knitting less than my usual amount. And I was still able to finish this in like about a month because of the large gauge, it just kind of goes pretty quickly. And I am so happy with how this turned out. I finished it the weekend before Valentine's Day, and so I got to wear it on Valentine's Day. And when I started this, I wasn't like, ooh, I want to knit a Valentine's sweater. I was just like, oh, I really have been wanting a really bright red sweater, like that would be really fun. And it just worked out that it became my Valentine's Day sweater, so it's kind of perfect. And I also think that this is going to be really great to wear next Christmas, because this is a very like bright red, like kind of Christmassy red, and I think that it would totally fit with like Christmas themes. So this is so cozy. The yarn combination turned out really, really well. I really like Sarasota with this mohair. Amazing. I really only have one slightly negative thing to say, and again, this might have been something that you've heard from other people about knitting the legs pullover, is that this, like I said, this garment fits really, really well, but there is a price to pay for the really, really great fit. That is that there's about like 20 ends to weave in. I don't think I'm even exaggerating there. You break the yarn so often. Like I think for the saddle shoulders, I had at least 2 yarns broken, and then you break the yarn again to when you're doing the short rows in the back. You're breaking the yarn all of the time. So I think in total, I probably had about 20 ends to weave in. So that was slightly annoying, but honestly, you know, like I just put a show on that I like and just kind of like methodically wove them in. So it really, like it probably took what, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that. It really wasn't that big of a deal. But that is my one very small gripe about this, is that perhaps that was the only way to like logistically get this fit, but I wonder if there's like some different design things that you could do to still get the same fit but not have to break the yarn quite so much. So in terms of knitting experience, at the very beginning of the yoke, I wouldn't say it didn't like ruin the knitting experience. It definitely was still like pretty quick and not that tedious, but there was a little bit like, oh, I'm breaking the yarn again. So I do wonder if there's a different way to do a very similar construction, but sort of like be smoother and in the knitting experience. So I would probably rate this like a 9.5 out of 10 or like a 9 out of 10. I really think it's a super great basic, and I am probably going to be making more of these, maybe even this year, because I do want to make some more like basics for my family and friends. And so this might be one of those sweaters that I do fall back on for just like if I want a really good fitting, basic, oversized, cozy sweater. It totally has that sweatshirt sort of vibe, like crew neck sweatshirt, like this is it. So I absolutely love mine. I think I'm gonna wear it all the time, and I kind of get the hype of the legs pullover and why like so many people have knit it, and it's because it's really fun to knit and it fits really well, and you can do it in fun colors. My next best objects are 2 pairs of socks that I've finished since we last chatted, and that is the pair of socks that was a whip in my last podcast episode, which is this just basic pair of ribbed 2x2 ribbed socks. This sock yarn is the Terrapin Fiberworks vegan sock yarn, Anacostia, and it is a blend of cotton, elastic, and tencel, I believe. And this color is the color Spiced, and you can see why it is called that. It is a very like fall, cover my face. It is a very fall themed yarn, and I bought this yarn in September actually, and originally planned to knit these socks in October for Socktober because it was so like perfectly fall themed colors, but I really hadn't quite gotten into my sort of sock mojo then yet. It was more like November-ish that I started knitting a ton of socks, and I just really hadn't gotten to these socks yet. And if you'll remember from last episode, I originally cast on the grow socks in this yarn, but was having a lot of issues making the little leaves for that pattern. So even though those socks are super cute and I do think I want to make them at some point, I just like wasn't having fun doing it, and so I just ripped it out and said, you know what, I'm gonna make a vanilla sock and have a lot of fun. And so I decided just to do ribbed socks, and they fit so well. Like, does anything fit better than some ribbed socks? It is so nice. So these were really, really fun. I did twisted rib, 1x1 twisted rib at the top, and then the deep shadow wrap heel, and 56 stitches and just did 2x2 ribbing, and it worked out really well. But the only thing I have to say about these socks is that there was a tiny bit of pooling of this like really dark, I guess you can't quite see it on camera maybe. There was some pooling of this really dark part of this yarn, and so there's like a tiny bit of like striping, which I didn't love. I don't dislike it enough to be like, oh, these don't look good. But if I had my way, I guess there would be no pooling at all. And I do think that sometimes yarns can look different in the skein than they do worked up. And so I do really like these, and I'm not gonna wear them only in fall, like I've already worn them. And the color does bring me joy. It's just that the tiny bit of pooling maybe knocks this down like, I don't know, like a point. But these socks were really fun. I really, really liked them. My second pair of finished socks is something that I just very recently got off the needles, which is a, again, vanilla sock. I'm really into vanilla socks right now. So this one is just stockinette with some kind of sporty stripes and contrast heel and toe. And this sock yarn is Terrapin Fiberworks sock yarn that I've been knitting a ton with. And the main color here, this green color, is the first skein of her yarn club, which I joined this year. And it is backpacker themed. And so each quarter, a new country is the theme, and for the first quarter, the theme is Iceland, and it's actually so perfect because me and my partner have a trip planned to Iceland here in like a month, so pretty soon here we're gonna be heading over to Iceland, and so I am so excited to wear my like Iceland themed colored socks in Iceland. So I'm definitely gonna be knitting up all of that Yarn Club sock yarn into socks. And so I just went with really, yeah, again, really, really basic vanilla socks. And this yarn is just a bunch of really sort of bright greens all together. And when I first started making this sock, especially because of the contrast color I chose, which is Sandbar by Terrapin Fiberworks, which is kind of like this white, brownish sort of speckled situation. When I first started making these socks, I thought, oh no, these kind of look like camo themed socks. And I wasn't sure if I was gonna love them that much, but now that I've finished them, I actually think that they are pretty cute, and maybe they like sort of whisper camo, but they definitely don't scream camo. And I'm actually way more happy with them now that they're finished than I was while I was making them, because I was not going for camo. What I was going for was green, just like green and white themed, because both my high school and my graduate school colors are green and white, and I'm about to graduate from my graduate school, and so I thought it'd be kind of fun to wear like school colored themed socks like for my defense, and so I wanted to make some green and white socks with the fun sock yarn I have, especially when I just received this really bright green color, so that's what I was going for. And then I was like, oh wait, does this look like brown camo and this looks like green camo, and all of a sudden I've got like camo socks. That's not what I wanted. But I mean, you can leave let me know in the comments if like you think this is very camo-esque. But I think it is only just like a little bit, and I'm actually happy with them, and I think they're really cute. And I just finished these, and so I actually have not even worn these one single time yet, but I'm really excited to. And as of right now, I have 5 pairs of hand knit socks that I love. So before too long here, I'm gonna be able to wear hand knit socks every single day, which was like the goal. And I just am so excited to have a big old drawer of hand knit socks that I love and I spent time making, and I love the colors of and stuff. So yeah, these are cute. I'm excited to wear them. So next I want to share with you my new cast on, the one whip I have right now, but I'm actually in the middle of a row. So I'm gonna finish this row so that it will be easier to show you guys. So my new cast on, which I don't know if will become my main whip once I cast some more stuff on, but right now it's the only whip I have, is the Sibilla sweater by Cookie the Knitter. And if you've been around here, on this channel for, the past couple months, you might know that I knit the Sibilla cardigan for my younger sister for Christmas, and really loved that pattern, thought it was so cute, and kind of wanted to match with my sister just a little bit by making the sweater version. And after I cast off those green socks, I didn't have anything to cast off. Like, I didn't have any plans really that were immediate, and so I just kind of looked through my stash, and I had bought some yarn with the hopes of making a cabled sweater for myself, and so I decided to go forward with that idea that I had a couple months ago of making a Sibilla version for myself. And so I am making the Sibilla sweater, which is this all over cabled sweater. And it is a drop shoulder construction, and it has as the main, I'm still working on the back panel here. I'm not done with my increases yet. And actually I feel like it's not coming up super well on camera for some reason, maybe because of the colors, but the main motif, I would say, in this pattern is this really large block of like crisscrossing woven cables, and then there's some braided cables on the side and the other types of braided cables on the side of this sort of like woven cabled pattern. And when I made the cardigan version of this sweater, I was a bit worried that this woven cabled pattern, because it looks kind of complicated when you glance at it, I was worried that it was gonna be difficult and that I was gonna have to, look at the chart all the time. But I discovered very quickly making that cardigan that it is actually super intuitive, and you can tell just by looking at what the previous cable was that you did, what the cable is that you need to do on the next round. So I knew going into this sweater that it was gonna be actually not that difficult as it looks, and especially because I had already done the cardigan version of this, it took me like less than a whole repeat to remember the way that cable went and the repeat of doing that cable. And so this isn't a super quick project because it is cables, but it actually has been more mindless than you might think. And the gauge on this is huge. It is a 14 stitch gauge, and I do kind of have an idea of trying to knit at slightly smaller gauges this year, just because lately for some reason I've been knitting pretty large gauges, like 16, 18 stitches, and this is 14 stitches. It's huge, but a nice chunky cabled sweater in a really large gauge is still really great for the season that we're in. In New Hampshire, there's like 3 feet of accumulated snow on the ground outside right now, and you may have noticed that I was filming outside for a long time and it was just getting way too cold, and so I finally found a decent spot in my house where the lighting's okay, instead of just like filming outside, because there's just so much snow outside. Like, there's not a spot for me to sit that's not like covered in snow. So a big cozy cabled sweater is gonna be really great in my wardrobe. And I also was thinking, even though this sort of sweater wasn't on my Make 9 plans, which I didn't really want my Make 9 plans to be super strict, I do feel like this sweater can still fits into the ideas I was having for my wardrobe, which is more like academia focused, because I feel like a nice cabled sweater is more polished than can be more polished than like a stockinette oversized like throw-on type of sweatshirt like sweater. So I definitely think that I'm gonna get a lot of wear out of this. So this is gonna be just sort of like tons of fun to work on when I feel like I want some cables. And the yarn combination I'm doing is crazy, crazy soft. I kind of wish I had done this combination for my younger sister instead, because what it is, so this is a 14 stitch gauge, and what I'm doing is I'm actually holding 3 yarns together. So this is not like a cheap project, unfortunately, but I am holding, so Cascade yarns, Sarasota, in the color White Swan, which is like this really nice cream off-white. It's really good for if you want the sort of like more white natural look instead of the really bright white that can come on some acrylic yarns. And I'm holding it with these two, this two things of, oh, look at my mohair. These two things of mohair. So this is the Lammy Yarn Soft Sensations mohair that I talk about probably every single episode. I apologize if you guys are like sick of hearing about it, but I probably won't stop talking about it. So I am holding the beige color with the white color of this mohair because when I swatched for my younger sister, I used the chunky version of this yarn for my younger sister's cardigan, and then I at first swatched for her with the mohair and decided that I didn't like these two colors together, and I ended up just using, this is the DK weight, but for her cardigan I used like the chunky bulky version, and I just found that those colors didn't go together perfectly. However, when I made her cardigan, it was really, really heavy because it took kind of a lot of yarn, and it was a bulky, like thick weighted yarn that was 50% cotton and 50% acrylic. And so the cotton in there really made it pretty darn heavy. And I didn't want that to happen with my sweater. So I did want to use only like a DK weight version of this yarn. And so to sort of balance out this, this color, which is a little bit too dark for the sort of cream I'm going for, I combined it with this mohair as well. So these three together is what I'm holding, and this is the first time I've ever held three yarns together, but luckily it's working out okay. And the final product that you get, oh, there we go. I feel like that's a better, you might be able to see that better than previously. The product that you get actually I think works pretty darn well. So it's not too brown. Like I thought that the beige compared to this, like the main cream, was a little bit too brown, but the white mohair one isn't like standing out, but it's just sort of like blending, I feel like, the beige mohair to make it closer in color to what this is. Like I feel like if you mixed these two mohairs together, like the colors, if they were paint and you mixed them, I feel like you might get this color. Well, oh my gosh, I'm having like strands everywhere issue. I think that you would get this color. So I'm very pleasantly surprised. Like I'm very happy of myself that I chose these colors and they're working out. The only thing is that I only have 3 skeins of this color, and it's like 600 meters, I think. Definitely not enough to make a cabled sweater. It wouldn't be enough to make a full sweater, so it's definitely not enough to make a cabled sweater. So I'm gonna have to order more of this white, but it's currently back ordered. So I'm really hoping that I can get it. But it might be one of those things where I make most of this project and then have to put it on hold until I can like get more yarn. But even though I don't have enough of this yarn right now, I am gonna be able to make like pretty good amount of progress with the 3 skeins that I do have, and I think I'll be okay just like putting it on hold until I get more yarn, or like maybe the yarn will come back in stock when I need it to and everything will be okay. Who knows? But that is my one whip right now. I do know that I have some yarn on its way to me for some socks, because the next round of the Backpacker Yarn Club from Terrapin Fiberworks I think is coming to me very, very soon. So even though I don't have any socks on the needles right now, I'm gonna be casting some on, I think, with like honestly within the next few days. So I'm really excited to keep going on my sock trend and then work on my cabled sweater, I mean, and my plan is that very, very soon, I think I want to cast on a garment for someone in my family. I really, like I had said at the beginning of this year, I do really want to do some more gift knitting, but when I do that gift knitting, I just really want to be sure that I'm choosing a pattern and a color that the person that I'm knitting it for will really enjoy and will actually wear. And so when I was looking for a new cast on, it was just much easier to cast on something for myself when like I know what I like, and it doesn't take me as much like thinking power to decide what I like. It takes more thinking power for me to make sure that I'm making something for someone else that I know that they will like. But that's definitely gonna be one of my cast-ons, probably like, you know, sometime in March. I'm gonna be casting on for someone in my family, and I am toying with the idea of making a sweater for everyone in my family and give like over the course of this year, and then giving everyone in my family a sweater for Christmas. And I actually did that a few years ago as a way to sort of like learn how to knit. So I guess it would have been 2023. I spent most of 2023 just knitting for other people. Like I only made two sweaters for myself and then one sweater for everyone else. And that was kind of fun. I was like definitely ready to knit for myself by the time I finished that, but it was really cool to be able to gift my family sweaters, everyone a sweater. And it actually ended up not being stressful because I started like in June doing that. And so if I start now, I'll still be able to make some stuff for myself. And I'm also like a bit of a better knitter, like a faster knitter than I was back in 2023. So I think it's doable, but that's definitely my plan, is to sort of like sprinkle in some knits for myself that are hopefully going to be sort of like 1940s academia themed, and then also knits for the people in my life to give for Christmas. And then at the end of the year, I will like be all done with, like I won't need to worry really also about Christmas shopping that much because I will have been doing it like basically the whole year. So that is my plan. Thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. If you did enjoy hanging out with me today, I would really appreciate it if you give this video a like. That really helps out the channel. Also, if you do want to see more content from me, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss another video. And please let me know what you have been knitting lately. I would love to hear it. So with that, I will send lots of big hugs to everyone, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Okay, look at the camera, and then let's just kind of show it up. No, you're not. You know I can't use that. Show this side. You can't do that.
I'm kidding.
No, come a little closer.